Good morning, everybody. I am Allison Muccio with the Boca Chamber, and this, of course, is part of our workshop series on public relations. This is part 2. Very excited to have Joanne Polin. She is definitely an expert in her field, and she's going to give us some wonderful information on got a press release, now what, which is really, really important to know if you saw the first one. If you didn't see the first one, you can always go back to our YouTube channel because we record everything and you'll be able to see it there. But now I have the privilege of introducing Joanne. She is a native of Maryland and the founder and president of Polin Public Relations. Since its inception in 2007, Polin has quickly established itself as a premier boutique marketing and public relations firm in South Florida. The firm has won numerous awards for its creativity and performance and prides itself on its high-level staff and attentive customer service. From 2002 to 2007, Polin served as vice president of marketing for Home Bank Mortgage Corporation, where she developed and managed an aggressive marketing and media relations program for multiple offices and 300 associates throughout Florida. During her tenure, Home Bank received numerous awards, including Southwest Florida Uncommon Friends Business Ethics and local recognitions. From 96 to 2002, Polin served as a marketing executive for Sprint, PCS, and Citibank. In both positions, she was responsible for designing and implementing complex marketing programs, including communication plans, sponsorships, special events, corporate giving, Hispanic marketing programs, public relations, product and market launches, in-store promotions, and marketing research. Wow. Her multi-state territories included Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Polin has more than a decade of experience in the nonprofit arena, working for such organizations as the American Red Cross, the Maryland Science Center, and the National Aquarium in Baltimore, where she developed and planned events for 10 to 5,000 guests. Serving on the Metro Division Board at the South Palm Beach Jewish Federation, she was instrumental in the development of the Metro Division Corporate Sponsorship Giving Program and the popular Metro Speakers Networking Series. Joanne is a graduate of Garrison Forest School and Goucher College. And with that, I give you the very talented Joanne Polin.
Oh my goodness, I don't think anybody's ever introduced me like that. I feel so special. But good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I think one thing you can see when you listen to me is I really enjoy what I do. I love it. It's fun. Every day is different. And I love to be creative. I have a fabulous team. One of who's here, Peggy and I have worked together almost 20 years. We've been together. I know, I think I always joke it was longer than any of our marriages. But we also have a few other people who weren't able to be here today, but we really have a lot of fun together and we get to be creative and we have a lot of fun clients and we really enjoy it. So there's no secret. We always say we're not curing cancer here. There's no secret. We just work really hard. We try to be creative. We come up with as many angles as possible, and we just really don't take no for an answer. So I think we're relentless, my clients like to say. So we'll go ahead and get started. If anyone has any questions, we're very casual here. I think one of the people from the chamber is going to intercept. So if you have a question you want to ask while I'm talking, please go ahead, because sometimes you forget things. So first of all, kind of what is public relations? It's such a broad term. We like to call it, or I think of it as a strategic communication process that increases the awareness and enhances the reputation of an organization through a lot of different vehicles. And today's agenda, we're going to kind of narrow it down, and we're going to talk about media relations, which is the next slide, but media relations, social media, and digital, which is so, important now. And COVID, I threw this in because our job, and I'm sure everybody here on the call, everything has changed since COVID. So we want to also be able to give you some ideas of things that you can do in this new world that we live in and how it's affected our jobs as public relations professionals and some things that you can do. So the first thing we're going to do on the next slide is I know you talked about PR releases in the last one, in the first workshop, but we're going to touch on that briefly because it is really important. We're going to talk about media alerts, which are different than press releases, articles, talking points, social media, and special events. Okay, so the tools for PR. The most important thing besides the press release is to try to have B-roll of good quality video and photos, high res. And when you talk about B-roll, when I way back 25 years ago, when we started, we didn't have wonderful little phones like this. So we would have to hire people and it was expensive and you have to shoot B-roll. But now anybody's iPhone really shoots pretty decent video. So we really encourage you to shoot video of 30 to 60 seconds because to give you an example, the TV stations that we work with in this market for the West Palm sector, they go from Sebastian to Boca. I don't know if any of you have driven from Sebastian to Boca, but it's a pretty long way. And they usually only have 2 trucks, sometimes 3 trucks during the day. So if they tell you they're going to cover something and there's an accident or an oil tank spill and, on 95 and Vero, guess what? They're not coming to you, they're going to that. So it's so important to always take video of your things yourself. Again, be something, don't spend the money, do something with a video just with your own phone. It makes a great difference and the stations will actually run it. I know it sounds crazy, but so many times when you see video, it's not stuff that they shot, it's stuff that PR professionals or I know our team gives to them. Photos are the same way. It used to be that you had to hire a photographer and you still do for some kinds of social events, but for your normal things that you're doing, don't spend the money. Your trusty little iPhone or whatever phone you have takes good photos and you can pick where it says actual size that is high res. So you can send them large enough that people can use them. The only thing where you run into some issues is when you're talking about like large print things, like full page, when you have to get something that's so big. But both of those are really important to have in addition to the release. Are there any questions about that? I know I talk kind of fast, I apologize.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do you embed the video in the press release or attach it separately when you send it?
We actually, it's a really great question. We are like huge Dropbox girls, and we actually put it in Dropbox. It's too big to send, so we actually send it on Dropbox. That's a great question.
Thank you.
And the photos also, because all they're going to do is clog up everybody's. So on the bottom of the information will say, there are photos and video included in the Dropbox.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is how to write a press release. And this is just kind of how we think. Again, I know you already had this, but I wanted to kind of touch on it. Obviously, a good headline is really important because the newsrooms are so busy. The person that grabs it off of fax is not the person that's eventually going to write it for you or grabs it off of a email. It's usually an email that you're sending it to. So you really want something that will grab people. You want an opening that's interesting, your contact information, and then the company's boilerplate. Do you all know what a boilerplate is? It's okay. A boilerplate is actually located at the bottom of the press release, and it just gives information about the organization that's sending out the press release. So if you're writing it from the Education Foundation of Palm Beach, you would put information, and it would say about the Education Foundation of Palm Beach. And it would be maybe, 4 to 6 sentences, just giving people information. And then, for more information, please see blah, 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 blah. But it just kind of gives people information about the organization. And that's important. Okay, next slide.
We're getting there.
Okay, well, the next slide is going to be sample press releases and media alert. So kind of what's the difference? So as you can see, here's an example of a press release we did for a nonprofit organization. And you can see we actually put a graphic at the top because it gets people's attention. So if you have cute artwork, don't make it really big that it messes up their whole, it's too big to download, but this is really cute. And who doesn't like to look at a cute little duck and it win $10,000? So it really kind of captured people's attention. And then we have a headline, as you can see, which is important, and the intro paragraph, which kind of gives them an idea. And then you have the body with all the information and the details, and then you see the boilerplate at the end. And those are all really important. And we do our best to try to keep it to one page. You know, we're friendly with a lot of media, and the thing they tell us is people send them press releases that are 3, 4, 5, 6, and they basically throw it away. It's just too much for someone to read. It's kind of like you meet someone and you hand them, it's just too much. You want to give them enough and be as concise as possible, because they get so many of these, and you're just going to frustrate someone and they're going to throw it away. Any questions on that? Okay. And then what's a media alert? Some of you may know what it is, some of you may not. A media alert is basically a one-page announcement of an upcoming event, excuse me, or happening. It's intended just for journalists, not the public. And the purpose is to really convince them that they want to cover your event. I'm sorry, my phone's going off. So here's an example. We represent a large auto group, excuse me, in the Mid-Atlantic. So this is an example of a media alert. So again, it's a different kind of thing. So if you send a press release out about the event and you have people, you may still want to do this media alert a couple days before to really capture media who didn't already cover the event from a pre-angle, to also send this out. It's kind of like a reminder, especially for TV. It's great for television because it's short and concise. And then we go to the next one, and it's a calendar release. And a calendar release, again, is different. It's something that you do in advance, so people know to put it. There's so many calendars. You know, you look at the Sun Sentinel, the Palm Beach Post, even TV stations and radio stations are doing calendars now, especially during COVID, because people are looking for things to do outside. So calendar releases are great. It's a great way. Magazines are even doing them now. And here's an example of something we did for the city. They were doing a Bark Fest event. So here's something we did that we sent out way in advance of the event. You can see this was actually July, and the event wasn't until October 5th, to give people a lot of notice. Remember, magazines work anywhere from 3 to 6 months ahead of time. They all have editorial calendars, and if you go to their websites, you'll find they have an editorial and media calendar. So you can kind of see the different things that they're working on, you know, throughout the year. And that way you can kind of plan your plan for what you're going to do based on those calendars. Any questions about the calendar release? Okay, then there's the post. I know you think this is never going to end. There's the post-event release. And the post-event release is basically an update after the fact. So you collected, you can see in this instance, we collected 2,400 pounds of food during our annual fall food drive for Sheehy Auto Stores. You collected whatever it is, you raised this much money. You had this many people attend, you know, your event at Temple Bethel, and you raised this much money. So all of you have, you know, whatever your cause is, and it's a great thing to do, and to send photos of people doing something behind the food. I know at Lang, I know Dawn's on today, every year we do a really big food drive at Lang, and we involve Lang management communities. It's really fun, and we collect thousands and thousands of pounds of food. I know we actually are the ones that carry it out of all the offices, and it's so much fun. And then we deliver it through Hunger for America, and it's great. And they distribute it to local food banks. And that's such a great thing to have the agents who work so hard to collect the food. So many times when people leave and move, they have all these canned food items and they normally throw them out. I mean, people are hungry, and that's one of the reasons that we do it. So it's really great opportunity to take some photos. Here's another example. Casson United Methodist Church was doing a food drive similar to what we just talked about. Anything visual. Here's the city of Boca hosted a virtual Veterans Day. They didn't forget Veterans Day. They did it virtually, and we got quite a bit of media on this. Again, something really different. United Methodist Church in Del Rey still held their annual Pumpkin Patch Festival. It was just socially distant, so it was a lot of fun. Again, things that are very visual. We have a client in Boca, SA company. They gave away 100,000 face shields. when COVID first happened. I don't know if you remember, they're off of Rogers Circle, but it's amazing. People, were at that time, you couldn't even get them. You would go on Amazon and they were, it was crazy. So it was a great story. We got national press actually from that one. So it just kind of gives you an idea. The last one is our client Sheehy up in Virginia. It's an auto store. Every year they do a huge event. The Sheehy 8,000, where they sell a certain amount of cars and then they donate to the American Heart Association. And we always send a press release out at the end, a post-event release of how much money they raised. And they raised $250,000, and we have a picture of the president giving the check. That's something that you might want to think about at some of the nonprofits, doing a big check, like literally a big check that you can write on and just erase. That's a great thing. Media love to take pictures of that too. Any questions on, I know there's a lot of those things. Any questions on those?
I had a quick question. This is Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
I literally just saw on your last slide for your post release. You had at the bottom, it said the mission of a certain organization does that right there. The mission of the American Heart Association, instead of about the American Heart Association with your boilerplate. Is boilerplates most recommended for like media alerts or press releases? And then the post.
Right, for this one, we actually shortened this. I'm not sure what she did here, but we actually put that on here because the American Heart Association is the one we're giving the money to. So we wanted to make sure that there was a direct link from a digital standpoint so people could click on it.
Got it. Okay. No, I like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting way.
All right, that's cool. But the boilerplates are important, I know. And if I could just ask one other quick question. Sure. As far as timeline, because we've got such great information to share. So what I'm hearing is a media alert is usually a couple days before because, right, the media is like, oh my God, what do I have to do tomorrow?
Exactly.
Right? A press release, may I ask, when's the recommended time to send that out?
Well, we usually do a calendar. If you were going to talk about timeline, we normally do a calendar release first. And we do that as anywhere from 3 to 6 months ahead of time. Because for the calendars, especially if it's a social event, because a lot of the publications that's why you have to look at those media calendars for each of the magazines. They may publish it in October, some publish it in November. So you can kind of build your plan, but it's usually 3 to 6 months ahead of time. And then from a press release standpoint, we usually do it anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, just to kind of give people an update, like a heads up, like heads up, Phil Vallis, heads up. And then we obviously follow up with it and we send it again and again, and sometimes even again.
3 times a charm, maybe. Okay.
Yes. But we do like to give people a heads up, and we work with them all the time, and people usually say, oh, hey, glad to hear you're doing this again, or sounds like a cool event, remind me give me a reminder in 2 weeks.
Got it.
But and you kind of like to be on their radar.
And then the media alert is sort of helps with the reminder a couple days prior.
Absolutely.
And then that post release, I always sometimes feel nervous that I'm not getting it out fast enough, or you want to give time for photos and tell your sponsor.
If we can get it out a week later, we try to. If it's something that's really pertinent, like something that's really newsworthy, like if you're more, probably not anything you all are, but if it's something truly like really, really newsworthy and earth-shattering, I would get it out within 24 hours. But I think you really have a week. I hate to wait more than 10 days because it's kind of not that important anymore.
Right.
So I would hate to wait more than that.
No, I appreciate that because it's always the post that gets me all like, oh, I got to get it done, thinking that tomorrow.
You can have it written in advance and then just plug your stuff in.
Yeah, that's the smart way.
Yeah, that might be helpful too.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So then comes, okay, now you have all this great stuff and you're all excited and you have your timeline. Okay, media list. How do you identify the media contacts and build these relationships? This is, we do it all day long. So, and obviously you all have other jobs. Some of you, this is something you're doing because you don't have someone but this will kind of give you an idea. Newspaper, feature reporters, community newspapers, which there are less and less of. Print magazines, those are the ones I was telling you that are more of a long lead. That would be like your Boca magazine, your Palm Beach Illustrated, South Florida Business Wealth, Lifestyle publications, and Boca Observer. Radio, which is less and less now, TV, digital media, which is becoming more and more, and social media influencers. So that kind of gives you, and if you had asked me, even 10 years ago, digital media and social media influencers wouldn't even be on here. So it's just our world has really changed. And to give you an idea, there's just so many digital publications that are out there and that people are reading. There's all kinds of statistics that we look at every day. More and more people are getting their news. I mean, I still get the papers because I'm a newspaper girl, but I have to be honest, half the time I read it on my phone. There's certain pieces that are easier to read when you read the actual paper. But I mean, I get the Washington Post, we get everything. And I also get it online. So it is much easier. And in certain markets, we have a national client that's in 42 states. I can't get all those newspapers. So I look at them online. So many more people are reading things online. And there's so many more online publications. So it's just a matter, we subscribe to a service that pulls a lot of that for us. It's expensive. So most of you probably won't have that ability. But in addition to the service, as Peggy and Hillary and our team know, I love to do a lot of my sourcing myself. And I have found all kinds of publications that the service doesn't even pick up, and reporters. I keep a file at my desk. It's like one of those big expandable things, and I throw things in it when I see things, and I'm like the old fashioned, I cut things out and throw it in. So when I'm looking for something, I can find it. So there's nothing wrong with you all building your media list that way. A lot of it you can find online, and a lot of it you find from, reading the papers and things. Any questions on that? Have you all had experience with social media influencers? Yeah, I can give you a little information about them. Again, 5 years ago, everybody did everything for free, and it was like, oh, and now everybody wants to charge you, or everybody wants something. So most of the better people, and we work in some big markets like Miami. We have a very large shopping center in Miami, and Miami is a top 3 market. So everybody charges something, and they're very, very expensive, but they're very, very good. I mean, some of these media, influencers have hundreds of thousands of people that follow them. They're very influential, especially on the food side and the lifestyle side. Where in Palm Beach, we're a much smaller market. So you can still find some people who you can either trade out with, whether it's gift cards, if you have something to trade out with, or you may be able to invite them to the event and comp them their ticket. But a lot of them do charge. And that's kind of the way it is. But they are very, they have a lot of pull, and people do follow them and read them, especially the mommy bloggers. Many of you, I'm sure know Michelle from Modern Boca Mom. She's one of the larger ones in Palm Beach County, and we work with a lot of really big ones in Miami. I mean, they're full-time, they have staff, they have agencies, they actually have agents that represent them, the ones in Miami, and they're really big. The auto ones we work with an auto client, they are the same way, they're very big, but they have a lot of pull. So I really encourage you to take a look and see if any of them could fit into your programs. Any questions? Okay, tips for sending. These are really important. Day of the week. You would not think a day of the week is that important, but in media world, it is. And I'm very friendly. We go out for dinner. I mean, we're all friends. Don't send something to somebody on a Monday, especially Monday morning, unless it's important, because when the staff of especially TV and also print, they don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. I know I work Saturdays and Sundays most of the time. So, but they don't. So when they come in, it's busy. They're having their morning meetings. They usually, TV usually meet around 20 after 9. We try not to bother them then unless it's earth shattering, because you're going to start to get on people. I mean, it's bothersome. So that would be that we try not to bother them on Mondays or Fridays. Florida, I don't know if it's the sunshine and the warm weather, but people tend to take off a lot, especially in the summer on Fridays, and even not on the summer, people tend to kind of leave the office early. So we try to do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then possibly Thursday, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the best day we like to send things. Time of day. If it's something that we really want them to talk about in their meeting, I send it to them before 9:20, because that's when they all go to their meeting for that day. So if you're sending a media alert for something that day, I would get it to them, by 7:30 or 8. I try to limit it to 1 page. Again, like they tell us all the time, they get, 8-page releases from a PR company, and they literally just throw in the trash can. It's just too much to read. People are lazy. I know it's shocking to everyone, but they're very lazy. So we always embed the press release and send it as an attachment. Sometimes people just they don't want to deal with clicking on something. We try to make it as easy as possible. And also we follow up. Do not think that you are bothering them. That is your job. That's my full-time job. So we always follow up with people. I send a little email. I know most of their cell phones, so I'll just send a text like, hey, did you get that? You don't have to be, annoying, but sometimes I'll say, I'm stalking you. I mean, I almost make a joke out of it, but that's my job. So don't feel like you're, shouldn't be doing it. You should be doing it. You make their job easier. If not, they have to go out and find stories. Okay. Here's some examples. This was actually a national piece we got for the New York Times for our client Sheehy. It was how to keep your car healthy. A lot of people were really leery about going to get their cars checked up and things. And we actually did a great press release about, we actually were coming to our clients, and it was so exciting. We got picked up from the New York Times, very exciting. So that was an idea that we had. So again, trying to think out of the box, think of things that normally people don't think of. Wall Street Journal, this is another example of, we didn't pitch this, but we pitched our client as an auto expert to be in a story to a reporter that covers the auto industry. So we actually looked at newspapers that Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, big New York Times, people, when you were going to be doing a story about the auto industry, like, hey, we are, the 9th largest privately held auto dealer in the country, and we have a really great person that could be a source for you. And that's what they did. They called us. So that's another way to get in a story. It doesn't always have to be about you. It could be something that they're covering, and you could be an expert in what they're covering. Did I explain that right? So like, here's somebody in college trips. If somebody was doing a story about like what should I be doing with my daughter this year? She's a junior and she's going to be going to college in 2 years. What should I be doing? Somebody's probably doing a story on that. So you could be an expert at talking about what should I do? How do I plan a trip? What should I be doing? Here's another example of something in industry media. So in addition, we have a lot of industry media, and I'm not sure how this affects you all, but with Temple Bethel, and I'm sorry to be picking on you, I just remember it, and I'm Jewish, so I just kind of remember it. So, there could be publications that just deal in temples and, Jewish things. So pitching to industry media, this was a client we have actually in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where we actually did they showed a film in their festival, and it was a review of the film. So this was actually film media out of LA. They're usually out of LA and New York, but that's what this was. And if you go to the next one, this was actually just a digital media. This is the Film Fest 919, which is in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So we got a lot of media locally, and all the Chapel Hill and Raleigh and all the papers of Cary and all the little towns. But we also really went after digital media. And this is something that you don't find on, it's not a printed publication. It's just a digital media that reports on film. And there's so much digital media out there. It's unbelievable. So here's an example of that. Here's an example of local media. And this was CBS 12, as we all know, which is the Festival of the Arts. We had somebody performing in studio. And here's the Sun Sentinel covered the city's Food Truck Friday series. Any questions on any of that? There's just so many different kinds of media. It's really changed. I mean, I think about it when Peggy and I always laugh when we started, we didn't even have, those were actually before we had faxes, we were faxing things, and, Sometimes some of the people say, well, how did you do work? You didn't have email. Well, trust me, we got it done. So any questions? Okay, social media. We have a person in our office, she just does social media, which is important. And the things that we really try to do here is create engaging content, things that are fun, engage people. Video is wonderful. People love to look at video. We use it to also complement our press releases. So we use our press releases and we really intertwine that into our social. We source out influencers. Just the other night, we handled Legacy Place up in Palm Beach Gardens, and we were showing Grease, the movie Grease. It was a sing-along, you know, with the little bouncing yellow ball. And we had a really cute entertainer there, and she had like LED hula hoops, and she was an entertainer. And she also has for a young kid, she has over 6,000 people that follow her. So we had her actually doing things from there, you know, so she was doing live video from there. So again, trying to get people who have large people that follow them. We react to positive stories on there. We understand public opinion about the organization. Especially in shopping centers, which we tend to do a lot of, you get a lot of negative comments. We do not erase them. A lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to get rid of it right away. That only makes people more angry. We react to them. We thank the people for pointing something out to us. And sometimes we give them an answer, you know, where maybe that's not the case. And sometimes we say, thank you for pointing it out. We'll get that changed. So it's important to recognize people, because if you delete it, all you're going to do is upset the person even more. And we really try to have a personality and an open communication with people on social. Again, kind of touching on the social media influencers, you know, they've just become so big. And there are, I know we laugh, but in our shopping center in Miami, we're building a new park. It's been delayed quite often with some other city issues, but the park will be opening, and we actually are hiring, and don't laugh, a pet influencer in Miami. It's a person who just talks about pets because we are going to encourage people. It's in an urban environment and there's not a lot of green space, and we want people in all the different condos and apartment buildings to come out, walk their dogs. We have restaurants and shops along there. So there really is a influencer for just about everything. Any questions on that? And again, I was just talking about this. There's mommy bloggers, there's influencers, there's lifestyle, fashion, beauty. There's a lot of charity and society people. Automotive, there's a lot of, we just recently, Ford launched a new Bronco. And a Bronco is kind of like the Mustang. It's kind of like the big name brand of Ford. And we had a lot of bloggers, automotive bloggers that came out. Beauty is huge. I know when I get ready to buy something like a sunscreen or something, I try to look and see what people say about it. And I follow those people. Okay. And then again, coordinating how you're going to engage the influencer. It's important to have everything up front. Are you going to pay them? Some of them are unpaid. Some of them you can barter, product, service, tickets, etc. Also, it is also important to understand who can use the photos, who actually owns those photos. So if the blogger or influencer takes the photos, do you have the right to actually post them? And you need to get that in writing. It's very important. There's a lot of issues now with people in photos, and you want to make sure that you own it. Do you have to give photo credit to somebody? So you want to make sure that that's all spelled out in the arrangement you have with the social media influencer. Any questions on that? Here's just some examples that are kind of cute. Like we came up with an idea in Meisner, making a list and checking it twice at Meisner. This is before the holidays. And you can see Michelle, she got some makeup and skincare at Lord & Taylor. And here she was going into a store, going in to have lunch at Tansy. And then we did in Haston's, which is a very high-end, probably one of the most expensive mattresses in the world. The royal family of Sweden actually sleeps on them. And it's unbelievable if you ever get a chance to go in that store. But their signature is really this blue and white check cover. And it was before they opened. So we actually took the mattress and put it at the amphitheater, and Michelle was so tired from shopping, she had to take a little siesta. It was really cute. But you can see she's doing all kinds of things. She was in getting ice cream with her daughter, and again, really letting people know about all the fun things there are to do at Meisner. This was, we worked on the, and I don't know if any of you have children, but there's a wonderful event that happens in the amphitheater every year. It's the Pumpkin Patch Festival. Whether you have kids, I don't even have kids and I like to go. It's really fun, and pumpkins are a huge thing in Florida since we don't grow any pumpkins here. They have to truck them in from Georgia. But here's an example where we actually hosted a whole group of influencers that came to the event the day before and got to experience it. So they were able to get that information out, and in hopes that we would have, let people know what's going on and sell more tickets and have, more of a larger event. So that's actually how we used influencers with those. It's nice if you can't do it the day before, maybe have like an hour before where they can come in a little bit earlier and have that special experience. My nose itches. Okay, here's some of the ones that we've done in Miami. This is a very large food person, Miami Food Pug. He actually has an agent, very big. There's something we did where this is interesting. When they had the Super Bowl in Miami, we were not, obviously, as most people weren't, a sponsor. So you're not really allowed to use the word Super Bowl. That's actually licensed. But we can refer to it as a big game because it is a big game. So here's an example where we did a whole thing where most people don't have tickets to go to the Super Bowl. They watch it at home. And this was a whole thing we did all about like big game specials and ordering food out and having it delivered from our shopping center in Midtown. And then here's something we did at Legacy Place. Since similar to Boca, we're not able to do most events, but we did get permission from the city to do our drive-in movie on the rooftop of our garage. And we actually, this was really fun. We showed the Addams Family, and then before the event, we partnered with a animal group, a nonprofit, and they brought all kinds of creepy critters and they walked by people's cars and things, obviously in mask and everything, but so it was safe. But again, just making it kind of fun, different, creative. Here's one again. This is actually Palm Beach Mom. This is something we do where we do for Mother's Day. If you spend $50 or more, which we're doing again this year, you can receive some kind of gift. This year we're doing herbs, but before COVID, you could actually pick 12 stems and create your own beautiful bouquet. And we had Palm Beach Mom, who's very popular in the north end of the county. She actually came in early. We did something early for her, and I mean, how cute are those little girls with their mom's bouquet. And here's something we did for the Festival of the Arts, which has been our client for a long time, which is such a great, if you haven't been, I encourage all of you to go. It's really a wonderful event. And this was where we brought Star Wars into Boca, and we had bloggers and influencers who were helping us promote the event because it's such a great thing. So many people wanted to share that with their kids. And when you can see something to a live, so they actually take all of the music scores out of the film, and they rewrite everything, they remaster the film, and then a 72-piece orchestra plays the music live. If you haven't seen it, it's absolutely spectacular. And we actually had that as our influencer. Okay, now all of this sounds great, but then we all got hit with something in March of 2020 that was called COVID. Obviously, events have significantly changed, if they're even happening at all. Not everything works in a virtual format. When this first started happening, everybody was doing everything virtual, and it was just, some things just don't transpire well virtually. Most media outlets, including TV here, are closed for face-to-face. They're not doing in studio. The studios are on lockdown, and it makes it much more difficult. So we kind of want to share some things that we did, because this is the world we live in now. Share good news. There's so much bad news on the, I had limit myself to watching 1/2 hour of local and 1/2 hour of national. And it's really depressing at times. There's not enough good news. So please share good news. focus on happy stories. Media really likes stories, a little spelling error in there, but like stories that make people smile. Be creative and focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do. You know, when this first happened, obviously everybody was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And you can kind of get in a rut where, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. But let's think about what we can do and consider partnering with a nonprofit. That's a great way to, you know, to help someone and also do something fun. And at the festival, which was this year, we obviously couldn't have a festival. We couldn't have people seated. The city of Boca wasn't doing it wasn't safe to be in a concert environment. So we really the festival committee worked really hard to do a virtual gala. And it was really fun. They actually had all kinds of performers who had performed for us years ago, Josh Bell and all kinds of people who were so happy because they were bored sitting in their houses. We actually had them do small little pieces and we put them all together. And it was really, I mean, they never thought they were 3 times over their goal. They were so excited. It was all free. People could be sponsors, but not everybody can afford to be a sponsor. So you were able to watch the gala and all the performances as just a person and it didn't cost any money or anything. And it was really exciting. Here's something we did with our client where they have face shields. They actually manufacture them. This is a local guy. He's just turned 30 years old. He has a $30 million company. He was supposed to be a dentist and he told his mother he didn't want to be one. He's an avid fisherman and loves to be out in the water and started a company manufacturing all kinds of outerwear. And we said to him, you know, at that time you can get face shields. And we actually gave away 100,000 face shields, which was so much fun. We were all kinds of media. The next one is, you know, turning a festival again. So this year, the festival, we did the entire festival as a free virtual event. And we really saw it as, we gave people an opportunity to contribute if they wanted to. But what we found is we made so many friends and people who had never been exposed to the festival. They were looking for things to do, and to be able to get quality world-class entertainment like this right on your own screen in the comfort of your own home was amazing. And it was really, really exciting. And we got even different kind of media than we normally got. We're on the cover. This is a wonderful, who happens to be from Boca, this young woman here, the little square. Peg, can you turn that back for a second?
Sure. Sorry.
She actually is from Boca. She was on the cover of all the lifestyle magazines. Again, real good photography makes such a difference. This was actually a photo that she had. And again, we had to get permission to use it because we did not take the photo. But again, good photography and good video go a really long way. And she was on the cover of magazines throughout South Florida. And you can see they were actually reporting on us the fact that we were doing it. We didn't use Zoom, but in a Zoom-like type of environment. Again, this was something we got a lot of TV coverage because it was free. People want to, the news stations they want to be like a good corporate citizen. They want to report on free things. Actually, this is the cover of that magazine I was telling you about. I mean, how gorgeous is that cover? Again, that was just because we had really fabulous, fabulous photography that we were able to use. Again, here's something we did. This was the Addams Family one I was telling you about with the creepy critter crawl. And then we partnered with Bush Wildlife Sanctuary up in Jupiter area. And we were able to create something that was really fun. And we've got a lot of pickup, TV, a lot of post. All right. Any questions? Anything I can help anybody with? Any examples that you want to kind of share or see how we can? Well, I hope this helped you all. I know I talk fast and I apologize, but there definitely is, there's a lot of opportunity. I think media has substantially changed since COVID, but we have really found, and I'm sure you all will think of ways, you know, hopefully, and if not, you know, if you've certainly got my, they can pass my information out from the chamber. I'm happy to talk to anyone. But you can always find some kind of hook on something. I know not everything is, a festival of the arts, but there's a lot of interesting things, and you don't realize how interesting some of your stuff is because you're in it every day.
Somebody had a question about where in Miami are the influencers based? I guess you had mentioned something about.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to, again, we subscribe to a service that gives us a lot of the information. It's expensive, the service, but again, Peggy knows I go out and I don't ever believe the service, and I always go out and find my own. So you can even just stick in Google, like, what kind of influencers are you looking for in Miami? Whoever asked the question, what kind of influencers are you looking for in Miami?
Let me see who asked the question.
It was you. Okay, Indira. So if you're looking for, I don't know what your business is, but if you're looking for influencers that cover, beauty or fashion, again, we subscribe to a service, but you can still just do old-fashioned sourcing yourself, Googling and looking to see, and it's amazing how many you can find. In fact, some of them don't always subscribe to the service, which is why we use a couple different services. We use Cision, but again, it's just thousands of dollars, and then we use some other ones that are even more money, which probably isn't you have to sign yearly contracts with them, but you can find them through, if you Google and spend a little bit of time doing your own research.
So Ileana wants to know, how often do you take advantage of social influencers? Is there an amount that is too much?
We use it when it makes sense, and we don't always use all of them. So because most of them you have to pay. So we don't have the unlimited budgets. Most of our clients are more budget conscious. We have some that aren't, but we usually try to do work with no more than 3 or 4 at a time, unless it's an event where this is the one time where you get them, and we try to have anywhere from like 10 to 20, because it's a large event. You're trying to, that's the one time, it's a one-shot deal. Does that make sense, Ileana?
She doesn't have audio, so she's just listening.
She says yes, it does. Okay.
What other questions? I mean, this is your chance to talk to an expert in the field. So,
What is
Elaine,
the average charge that an influencer might charge?
That's a great question. It really depends on market. In the Palm Beach market, you're anywhere from like $200 to about $800 or $1,000. And then in large markets like DC, New York, and Miami, where we work, they're very expensive. They really start at $1,000 and they go up to, five and six figures. They're very expensive. It just depends on, to give you an example, there's the pet influencer. I was so excited I found this pet influencer, and there's actually 3 in Miami that just really work on pets, one specifically cats and one dogs and cats. To give you an example, they're around $1,500 to $2,500, depending on what you want them to do. But again, I really encourage you to make sure in those contracts that you have the ability to use use their work, and especially their photos or any video, because anytime somebody takes a photo, that is their intellectual property. So please make sure that you get permission to use this. Some of them will give you permission for 6 months, some of them a year, some of them it's unlimited, but it's very, very important with any photographer that you work with, any video person. There's a whole, a whole new type of law. I think I saw somebody from a legal entity here, but intellectual property is a whole new kind of law.
that's really important to know, because
Yes.
things change so quickly, and especially with social media. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Let's see, Debbie, is a contract suggested for simple trade deals?
That's a great question, Debbie, and we work with you all the time on simple contracts. So it's great that you asked that question. I like to have a contract just because I think it's important to everybody know who's doing what we're going to give, what you're going to give. And that way there's no hard feelings at the end. Because like Debbie, I've worked with Debbie for years, and I don't want her to be upset with us. And I just think it is better to have things in writing. And if we can over deliver and I can give her more, I'm happy to. but I at least want to know, she wants to know what she's getting. But especially because of this whole photo thing, I think it's really important. Most of our clients actually require a contract. Some of the nonprofits actually, in order for them to get paid by, you know, government money that they're getting, or some grants, they actually are required to. But most of our clients, we do ask them to.
Good question. Anything else? This is your chance. Write it in the box.
Joanne, what about event press release? I mean, like, we're leading up to bringing back some of our fun social events. Where, you know, we would like some influencers to come, not too many, the ones that, you know, are really going to be good with being there and maybe, you know, shouting out the event on social. Any magazines kind of putting it on their websites. I know we always go to like every magazine and newspaper's website and we add the event, but like, what is your recommendation for like a good event press release of an upcoming event?
That's a great question. So really, you want to get people excited about the event. So 3 to 6 months ahead of time, I would do the calendar release. And if you don't have all of the information, but at least have some of it, get it out. So at least you're on people's radars. You can send pictures of things, like if you have entertainment, you can send pictures of things that are going to happen. So at least they have some kind of visual with it. If you don't, you could maybe have a picture of people like looking like they're doing something at a meeting where it looks like they're having fun. So at least they have some kind of visual, which is always great. And then before, as you are ready to announce different things, you want to continue to keep it. So besides just pulling it and inputting it into their system, which is great, you want to send a release out to all those magazines and to the newspapers. So if it's a music event, whatever kind of event it is, you want to make sure you get that out to the media. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the calendar releases are great in putting them, but you need to kind of do the next step and write your own separate release.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. Well, Joanne, that was fabulous. That was such great
thank you for having me.
information. I just think that, you know, all the different things that you do and the different steps and the different kinds of releases is so important for people to know. And I hope everybody on here really enjoyed it. As I mentioned, it will be up on our YouTube channel within the next couple of days. There's also a lot of other great information, and go back and watch the first one. So part 3 will be on May 18th. And that's about community involvement regarding press releases with Bonnie Kay, who's another expert in the field. Friday, be sure to join us for our Women's Business Council. That is always a great event with great speakers. And next Tuesday, Smart Talk for Women. And of course, we have lots of things coming up. Always check our calendar. And as always, thank you everybody for being here. Joanne, Peg, we appreciate everything, and we just hope everybody has a wonderful day. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.